Ethan Blackwood controlled everything in his life: companies, empires, decisions, everything except Aria Lane. 4 years ago, when his world revolved only around power and business, Aria quietly walked out of his life. Ethan assumed she simply didn't want to stay. What he never knew was that she left carrying the one truth that could break him: a tiny heartbeat, a tiny life, his child. Aria raised little Lila alone, hiding her pain behind a brave smile, protecting her daughter from the man who once chose ambition over love. But fate has a strange way of reopening unfinished stories. At a charity event, Ethan notices a little girl with soft brown curls and familiar hazel eyes staring up at him. Something in his chest twists. Because in that child's eyes, he sees his own reflection. And he has no idea that the girl is Lila, his daughter. Ethan Blackwood never attended charity events by choice. He funded them, sponsored them, built entire foundations around them, but showing up in person, that wasn't his style. Tonight was different. The board pressured him, the media expected him, and his publicist insisted his reputation needed a softened edge. So here he was, standing in the grand hall of the Blackwood Foundation gala, smiling politely, shaking hands, pretending to care. He didn't notice the soft glow of the fairy lights. He didn't hear the soft music. He barely registered the chatter around him. His mind drifted, as always, to the woman he had tried so hard to forget, Aria Lane, the only person who had ever made him feel human, and the only one who walked away before he realized what he had lost. He took a sip of champagne, reminding himself not to think about her, not tonight. But fate, as always, had its own plans. A small voice: "Mommy, look." The man on the stage looks like a tiny voice floated through the air, soft but clear enough to catch Ethan's attention. He turned. At first he saw nothing but a small crowd of guests. Then his eyes drifted down, and everything in his chest tightened. A little girl, perhaps 4 years old, stood near a display of donated toys. Soft brown curls, round cheeks, a tiny nose dusted with freckles. But it was her eyes that froze Ethan in place. Hazel, deep, warm, with flecks of amber. The exact shade as his dot. The exact shape as his mother's. A mirror of himself. In miniature form. He blinked, shaken. Children resembled strangers all the time. Coincidence, that's all. But the girl turned, slightly, and something in his chest cracked open. Her expression when she concentrated, the way she bit her lip, the tiny crease between her brows. He had seen that expression once before, on someone he had loved, on someone he had lost. Aria. His heartbeat stumbled. The woman beside her, Lila, a gentle voice said, "Don't wander too far." Aria stepped into view like a ghost from a dream. Her hair was longer now, soft waves falling over her shoulders. She wore a simple olive dress, nothing extravagant, but she looked breathtaking. Her face was a little older, a little wiser, a little sadder, but it was her eyes, the same beautiful eyes he once memorized, that knocked the air from his lungs. Aria, here, for years of silence, for years of wondering where she had gone, and she was standing not 20 feet away, holding the hand of the little girl with his eyes. Ethan's breath caught. Everything inside him collided: shock, longing, regret, anger, confusion. He hadn't seen her since the night she left without a word. No explanation, no closure. He had searched, he had waited, but she vanished as if she never existed. And now, she was here, with a child who looked like him. His fingers tightened around his glass until his knuckles turned white. Recognition. Aria hadn't seen him yet. She was kneeling, tying the little girl's shoelace, whispering something that made the child giggle. Her laugh was soft and musical. Ethan felt something inside him melt, something he didn't know was still capable of warmth. He took a slow step forward, then another. His breath became shallow. His vision, tunneled. And then Aria lifted her head. Their eyes locked. Her entire body stiffened. The color drained from her face. Her lips parted, her breath hitching in shock. For a moment, the world went completely still. There were no guests, no lights, no music, only Ethan and Aria, and the secret that lay between them. Her hand instinctively pulled the little girl close, protective, fearful, like a shield. Ethan's chest ached. "Aria," he breathed, voice raw. She swallowed hard, her eyes shiny with panic. "Ethan," his name trembled on her lips, as if it hurt to say it. Lila looked between them, confused. "Mommy, who is he?" Aria gently cupped her daughter's cheek. "No one, sweetheart," she whispered too quickly, too desperately. The words stabbed Ethan straight through. "No one." After everything she took with her, he was no one. He wanted to speak, to demand answers, to ask why she left, to ask why she never told him, but all he managed was, "She's your daughter." Aria's throat tightened. Lila turned her little hazel eyes up at Ethan again. Curious, innocent, unaware of the storm around her. Aria hesitated. Her fingers trembled around Lila's tiny hand, and for the first time, for the briefest second, Ethan saw guilt in her eyes. Real heavy, painful guilt. "The escape, Mommy," Lila whispered, tugging Aria's dress. "I'm thirsty." Aria latched onto the excuse like a lifeline. We have to go," she said, her voice strained. "Excuse me." She turned away too fast, almost stumbling in her panic. "Aria," Ethan called, his voice low but sharp. She froze. Slowly, painfully. She turned her head. Their eyes met again. And Ethan whispered the one question that tore him apart, "Is she mine?" Aria inhaled sharply. Her jaw trembled, her eyes filled. But she didn't answer. She just held Lila a little tighter, and walked away. Ethan stood rooted in place, the world spinning around him. The floor felt unsteady. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding with a truth he wasn't ready for but couldn't deny. Lila. Hazel eyes, his blood, his child, a daughter he never knew existed. And Aria, the woman he once loved more than anything, had kept her hidden from him for 4 long years. Ethan exhaled shakily. This wasn't over. Not this time. He was going to find Aria. He was going to find the truth. And he was going to find his daughter, no matter what it took. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat alone in his penthouse office, the city lights flickering across the glass walls. His tie was still on, his sleeves rolled up, his heart pounding too loudly in the silence. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. Aria. Every time he breathed, he saw the child Lila, his daughter, the daughter he never met, the daughter he never held, the daughter he didn't even know existed. The anger came first, sharp, burning, blinding. How dare Aria? How could she keep something so important from him? But the anger didn't stay. It dissolved into something far worse. Regret. He remembered the man he used to be. Cold, ruthless, emotionally absent, married to his work more than anything else. Maybe Aria had her reasons. Maybe she was scared. Maybe he drove her away. The thought made his chest ache. When the clock struck 6 a.m., he made a decision. He was done sitting in the dark. He was done wondering. He was going to find Aria. Today, the searchathon didn't know where she lived. He didn't know where she worked. He didn't know anything anymore. But he had resources, more than most men could dream of. He called Mason, his most trusted investigator. "I need you to find someone," Ethan said without greeting, his voice hoarse from the sleepless night. "Her name is Aria Lane." Mason didn't ask why. He knew better. Within hours, Ethan received a message. Found her location. A simple, modest neighborhood, far from luxury, far from anything Ethan could have offered her. He stared at the address for a long moment, his heart thudding painfully. Then he got into his car. Her doorstep. The neighborhood was quiet, the kind of place where children played outside and neighbors greeted each other on porches. Aria's home was small, neat, painted a soft cream color. Flowers grew by her windows. A tiny pink bicycle lay against the fence. Ethan swallowed hard. His daughter rode that bicycle. His fingers trembled as he walked to the door. Every step felt heavier. Every breath felt stolen. He lifted his hand and knocked once, twice, and then the door opened. Aria stood there, her hair tied in a messy bun, a loose sweatshirt, tired eyes. She froze when she saw him, fear flickering behind her gaze. "Ethan," she whispered. He didn't look at her first. His eyes moved past her. Inside, on the living room floor, sat Lila drawing with crayons, humming softly to herself. Ethan's world cracked open again. The little girl looked up, those hazel eyes met his, and something warm and painful surged inside him. Aria stepped in front of him instinctively, a barrier, a wall, just like last night. "Why are you here?" she asked quietly. "You know why," Ethan said, his voice low, trembling with emotion he couldn't hide. Aria's breath caught. "Ethan, please, not here. Not in front of her." His jaw tightened. "Then talk to me," he said. "Tell me the truth." Aria's hand gripped the doorframe, her knuckles white. "I can't," she whispered. "You have to." "No," she said softly. "You'll destroy everything." He took a step closer. "You kept my daughter from me." She flinched, her eyes filled with guilt, fear, memories she tried to bury. I had my reasons, she whispered. What reasons? Ethan demanded. How could you? Because you didn't want a family, she burst out, her voice cracking. Ethan froze. Aria's eyes shone with the tears she refused to let fall. You told me once, she said, breath shaking, that love is a distraction, that children ruin ambition, that you didn't have space for emotional chaos. Your words. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. He remembered saying those things. Cold, ignorant, self-centered. But Aria, that was before. Before what? She whispered. Before I found out I was pregnant. Before you missed every dinner. Before you forgot my birthday. Before you made it clear that your world had no place for me. Her voice broke. Her chin trembled. I was scared, Ethan. He closed his eyes. I would never have left you, he murmured. But you already had, she whispered. Piece by piece. Day by day. The silence between them felt like a wound. Ethan's voice softened. I could have changed. You didn't, she whispered. He didn't have a comeback. Because she was right. He was a different man then, colder, emptier, driven by ambition and ego. I wasn't ready for a child, she said. Not when I was already losing you. Her shoulders trembled. So I walked away, not to punish you, but to protect her. His chest ached. Her, their daughter. Protected from him, it hurt more than he expected. The little footsteps, suddenly soft footsteps, padded toward them. Mommy, a small voice said. Lila peeked from behind the doorframe, holding a crayon in one hand. Ethan's heart stopped. She looked up at him, curious, innocent, unafraid. Who's he? She asked. Aria closed her eyes for a heartbeat. Ethan knelt slow, gentle, overwhelmed. He didn't reach out. He didn't speak. He just looked at her. Up close, she was even more perfect. The curls, the freckles, those eyes. Lila tilted her head. You look like me, she said softly. Ethan's breath shattered. Aria felt it, every piece of him breaking. He swallowed hard. What's your name? He whispered, voice shaking uncontrollably. Lila, she smiled. I'm Fur. His eyes burned. He blinked fast, but tears still blurred his vision. You're perfect, he whispered. Aria's lips trembled. Lila stepped a little closer. You're sad, she said. Why? Aria placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder, protective, gentle, terrified. Ethan forced a smile through the ache. Sometimes grown-ups get sad when they see something beautiful. Lila blinked. Oh, she processed it seriously. Do you want to draw with me? Drawing makes me not sad. Ethan's breath caught. He looked at Aria. Her expression said everything. Confusion, fear, heartbreak, and an emotion she didn't want to admit. Hope. Just a flicker. Just enough. Ethan nodded softly. I'd like that, he whispered. Lila smiled wide, the kind of smile that could heal the world, and grabbed his hand. His heart nearly stopped at the tiny touch. Aria watched, tears gathering in her eyes. For the first time in 4 years, Ethan Blackwood stepped into his daughter's world, and he knew. Nothing in his empire mattered more than this tiny hand holding his. Ethan couldn't sleep. Not for a second. His penthouse, normally a sanctuary of glass and steel, felt like a cage. The city lights outside blurred into streaks of neon through his sleepless eyes. Every shadow in the room seemed to whisper Aria's name, and the image of the little girl Lila haunted him relentlessly. He had to know. He had to see the truth with his own eyes. By morning, he was in his car, driving toward the quiet neighborhood Aria had chosen. Simple houses, small gardens, laughter of children playing somewhere nearby. A world so far from his skyscraper empire, yet the only place he belonged right now. The doorstep encounter, he stopped at the modest cream-colored house. Flowers bloomed in neat rows by the windows. And there she was, Aria, holding Lila, whose tiny hazel eyes flicked toward him with cautious curiosity. Aria froze when she saw him. Ethan's chest tightened. Time seemed to slow. For years of unanswered questions, heartbreak, and regrets crashed down at once. Ethan, she whispered, voice trembling. He didn't respond immediately. His gaze went past her to the little girl. Lila's curls bounced as she leaned slightly, a small smile forming as she took in the stranger, who somehow felt familiar. Who's he? Lila asked softly. Aria instinctively tightened her hold on her daughter. No one, sweetheart, she said too quickly, too tensely. Ethan's throat constricted. No one. No. She's mine, he finally said, the words raw, unpolished, shaking. Aria's hand trembled. She avoided his gaze. Lila tilted her head, sensing the tension but too young to understand. The first truth's I didn't know, Ethan said, voice breaking. I had no idea you were that she was ours. Aria's eyes filled. You wouldn't have come. Not then. Not when you were too busy for anything else but work, for ambition, for power. He flinched, remembering all the dinners he missed, the arguments he ignored, the promises broken. I could have, he began. You could have, she interrupted softly. But you didn't. And I couldn't risk everything for someone who wasn't ready. So I raised her alone. Protected her from you. Ethan's heart throbbed painfully. Protected her from me. Yes, she whispered. Because I didn't know if you'd ever be more than a ghost in our lives. Lila's innocence. Lila stepped forward slowly, her tiny hands reaching for Ethan. Daddy, she asked, barely audible. Ethan froze. The sound of his own child calling him daddy pierced through every wall he had built around his heart. He bent down slightly, unsure how to respond, unable to believe this moment was real. Aria's eyes welled up, protective, cautious, yet part of her wanted to let go, to let him see what he had lost. I am, he whispered finally, voice cracking. I am, your daddy. Lila's face lit up with a pure, innocent smile. She reached up for him, and Ethan's heart shattered and mended all at once. Aria exhaled slowly. This moment, the one she had feared and dreaded, was happening. She stepped back, giving them space, watching silently as Ethan knelt and wrapped his arms around his daughter. The weight of regret. Ethan held Lila gently, afraid to crush her in his overwhelming emotions. I didn't know, sweetheart. I didn't know you existed. I waited, Lila said softly, as if understanding more than her years allowed. I wanted you to come. Ethan's chest tightened. 4 years of absence. 4 years of missed birthdays, laughter, hugs, stolen by time and his own ambition. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Tears blurred his vision as he looked at Aria. I was a fool. I was blind. I didn't know what really mattered. Aria looked at him, her own tears falling. You know now. Ethan nodded, still holding Lila, feeling every second, every heartbeat, every ounce of the regret he had carried for years. The room was quiet except for Lila's small giggles and Ethan's shaky breaths. For the first time in years, the walls of Ethan Blackwood's empire didn't matter. For the first time, his heart had found its way back to the family he never knew he had. The air outside Aria's house was cool, filled with the faint scent of jasmine from her garden. Inside, the small living room had transformed into a universe of emotions: hope, fear, regret, and something that had been missing for years: family. Ethan knelt on the carpet, still holding Lila in his arms. Her tiny hands explored his face, tugging gently at his tie as if trying to understand the man who was suddenly her whole world. Each touch sent a shockwave through him. He realized the truth he had avoided for too long. All the money, power, and success in the world could never replace this moment, this child, this connection. Aria stood silently nearby, her arms crossed over her chest, holding back tears. She had built walls around her heart for 4 long years, walls meant to protect Lila from heartbreak. And yet here he was, dismantling every brick with just his presence, his remorse, and the quiet sincerity in his voice. The first steps of trust, Daddy, Lila whispered again, pressing her small forehead against his chest. Ethan's throat tightened. I'm here, Lila. I'm never leaving you again, he said, his voice breaking. Aria felt her heart tremble. She wanted to reach for him, to bridge the gap between the past and present, but fear held her back. Fear of broken promises, fear of losing him again. Ethan, she began softly. He looked up, eyes full of emotion. I don't expect forgiveness right away. I want to be part of her life. I want to be part of yours if you'll let me. Aria studied him. The man before her wasn't the cold, ruthless CEO who had left her heart in pieces years ago. This was someone different, vulnerable, honest, and painfully aware of his mistakes. Slowly, she nodded. Bonding begins. Austin spent the next hours just being there. He changed Lila's diaper awkwardly, fed her tiny snacks, and learned her favorite songs. She giggled at his attempts to rhyme silly words. And for the first time, Ethan experienced true joy, unfiltered by ambition or power. Aria watched quietly, letting him take the lead. Seeing her daughter's laughter slowly breaking down the emotional walls she had built, she could see the change in him, the sincerity in every gesture, and she realized that maybe, just maybe, some wounds could heal with time, trust, and love. A walk through memories later, Ethan and Aria took Lila by the hand and walked to the small garden behind her home. The sun dipped low, casting golden light across the flowers and grass. Do you remember this garden? Aria asked quietly. He smiled faintly. I do. We used to dream about a family here." Aria's lips curved into a soft, bittersweet smile. "I made that dream real, even if you weren't ready." Ethan knelt to Lila's level. "I promise, I'm ready now, and I'll never let you feel alone again." Lila hugged him tightly. Ethan felt tears slip down his cheeks. The billionaire who had once measured life in deals and numbers now measured it in tiny heartbeat and laughter, in hugs and whispered daddies. The first night together that evening, Ethan left the house reluctantly, but with a heart full of hope. He had spent every moment reconnecting, building trust, and embracing the life he had ignored for years. He knew there would be challenges, long conversations with Aria, patience with Lila, and rebuilding what had been broken, but he also knew one thing with certainty. He would never abandon them again. As he drove away, he glanced in the rearview mirror and saw Lila waving. Her smile lit up the night like a beacon, and for the first time, Ethan understood the meaning of legacy, love, and family, not through money or power but through presence, care, and unwavering devotion. Aria closed the door behind them, tears streaming freely. She whispered to herself, "Maybe some fairy tales are worth believing in, after all." Final notes set up for CTA. By the end of the night, Lila had a father who would never leave her again. Ethan had learned the value of love over ambition. Aria had begun to trust and forgive step by step. The journey wasn't over, but the first step toward a new, united family had begun, and this time, they were all in it together. Ethan never imagined that a little girl could change everything he believed about life, love, and family. For years of mistakes, regrets, and lost moments all came crashing down in one unforgettable encounter with Lila, the daughter he didn't even know existed. But this story isn't just about heartbreak, it's about redemption, second chances, and the power of presence. If you've ever lost someone you love, or wished for a chance to make things right, this story will touch your heart. Watch as Ethan learns that even the richest, most powerful people can find meaning not in wealth, but in love and family. Don't forget to like, comment, and share if this story made your heart melt. Subscribe for more emotional, heartwarming tales of second chances, hidden truths, and family bonds that will keep you watching till the very end.